about to get real, keep it live, that's right. From Pennsylvania to across the globe, it's time for the Steelers All-Star Show.
Welcome to the Steelers by the Lake podcast. My name is James Strong, joined once again by my co-hosts Cody and Nick. Cody, how you doing this wonderful Saturday fall morning?
Fall morning is right, man. It's like 46 degrees outside. I've got the sniffles from freaking the weather changing. It feels like football, man. It feels like it's time, and I'm so excited. Whenever it gets this type of weather, all I think about is being a kid going out in my, Troy Polamalu jersey or whatever. It was a fake jersey, but whatever. Going outside and throwing the football. So I'm getting excited for football to be here. I'm wishing I had more friends in the area to go out and throw football with. But it's a good time. Nick, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. It's a chilly, not quite yet fall morning, but you can feel fall right around the corner. And fall is just such a great season. You get the local high school football games, you get the college football games, you get the NFL games. So us football fans are eating good. I'm excited to talk some more Steelers news as we are in the last week without NFL football for quite some time.
Yep. James, how are you?
I'm doing well, man. Happy for the fact that things are so close. Tons of college football today. So that's nice to be able to spend a little bit of time watching that. And we're really going to get into things today. This is like a really deep in the weeds episode. We're talking who made the 53-man roster, who made the practice squad, guys that got put on the IR already, our roster predictions, and our bold predictions for what we think is going to happen this upcoming season on individual players.
And Speaking of predictions, but maybe one that isn't quite so bold, I predict that the best place to watch NFL football this year, especially Steelers football, is the Edinburgh Hotel Bar.
Supporters of Steelers by the Lake include the Edinburgh Hotel Bar located at 100 Meadville Street in downtown Edinburgh, offering daily lunch and dinner specials from 11 a.m. to 2 a.m. For more information, call 814-734-5103 or visit edinburghhotelbar.com. The Edinburgh Hotel Bar, where you had me at hotel.
Yep, Edinburgh Hotel Bar, a great place to be. Little jealous of the owner there, guys. We had a guy show up. Apparently, this was 2 nights ago, I think, maybe even 3 nights ago now. But big shout out to Pat, the owner. Got to meet Ryan Shazier there the other night. He came in for some dinner, which was very, very cool and exciting. Sad that we didn't get a chance to go meet him, but you don't want to overwhelm a guy like that either. He wanted to go probably just enjoy a dinner with his wife or whoever he happened to be with. So, but proof that, listen, big name guys come around there. They know about it. It's almost like, I don't know the exact fame, quote unquote, that Edinburgh Hotel Bar has with the Steelers, but so many players come through. And when they get off 79, they go past that Steelers wall and they see it, and they probably feel just at home being in this little neighborhood. So love to see that Ryan Shazier was able to stop in. And just, man, I still love to see him walking. Like, it really, it hits me sometimes. It hits me.
Yeah.
So real excited to see him up and walking. But James, like you said, this is a beefy episode. We got 53-man roster. We got bold predictions. We got record prediction for the year. Unfortunately, Jill from Ohio is not with us. She had to do cheer. She's a cheer coach. So while we're out here talking about the Steelers, she will be doing her coaching stuff, and we can't wait for her to get back next week. But she did share with us already her bold predictions that we'll share on the show. So we're excited for that. But James, let's kick this off.
Yeah, man, buckle up. We got a big show going on here. So we're going to lean into the energy and keep things flowing for us this morning. 53-man roster has been announced. We all had some things that we were uniquely correct about in our roster predictions. And I just think it's a lot of fun to keep track of it and then go through and then kind of see what we learn from year to year on it. So quarterback room, they kept 4. That blew us all away. We didn't expect that. The surprise probably for a lot of folks that Will Howard didn't go immediately to the IR, but they did it like a day later. So I assumed they would trade Skylar Thompson. You guys assumed that they would put Will Howard straight to the IR, and because of the 1 day difference, then that kind of screwed us all up. But we all got 3 quarterbacks, right?
Well, you know what that probably was. They were probably trying to move Skyler
and didn't get it. Yeah.
And you know what I mean? So, like, I think in reality, we were all correct.
I agree 100%. I feel like they probably were trying to move him, didn't get what they were looking for, and said, well, whatever, we'll hang on to him.
Yeah. Yep.
Running back room was the 3 we thought with Gainwell, Caleb, and Warren. Unfortunately, Cody had removed Kenneth Gainwell from his and put on Max Hurlman, who did not make the team. So that was one knock on Cody. The wide receiver room was, for most of us, chalk there. The 5 we expected with Calvin Austin III, DK Metcalf, Scotty Miller, Ben Skoranek, and Roman Wilson. And if you asked us 2 months ago, Scotty Miller was not on the list for most of us, man. So hats off to him for really putting together a tremendous preseason, including some very good performances on field in those preseason games, and really passing up who was thought to be a favorite in Robert Woods. So very interesting and very impressive there. Tight end / fullback room, exactly what we thought. With Pat Freiermuth, Johnny Smith, Darnell Washington, Connor Hayward. Nobody showed up enough. None of those guys behind them showed enough to pass up Connor Hayward. The other 3 were locks in most of our opinion. Offensive line-wise, there were some questions there for us as far as injuries, who was healthy enough to play, who was going to go to the IR. So what we ended up seeing was the starting 5 that we assumed in Broderick Jones, Isaac Seumalo, Zach Frazier, Mason McCormick, and Troy Fautanu. Backing them up, both Andersons and Calvin and Spencer. Calvin was a big question mark for some of us as far as his injury, because we hadn't seen him all preseason. Andres Pete ends up making the team, and Ryan McCollum as well. So they keep 9 originally. Not too abnormal on that, because they like to dress 8 every week. And that gives you 1 extra guy, where if somebody's not healthy, you don't have to dress them just to get that full allotment. Defensive line, this is where it shocked all of us except for Nick. Nick nailed this, and hats off to him for that. They kept 8 defensive linemen. Nick got every single one of them right, with Keanu Benton, of course, Wyatt Black, Daniel Aquale, Derek Harmon, Cam Hayward, Logan Lee, Isaiah Loudermilk, and Esezi Otomewo, who was one that Cody had on his original 53 but dropped on his final copy.
Yep.
So Nick comes out the big winner in the defensive line room there on one that I would have never seen coming. You know, you see him keep 7 here and there. The normal number seems to be 6, so 8 is just something else, man. But if there's one room that's heavy, you're going to have other ones that are light. Linebackers, probably about the norm, with the starters all being what we expected: TJ Watt, Alex Highsmith, Peyton Wilson, and Patrick Queen. Backing up the outside linebackers, Jack Sawyer and Nick Herbig, with no additional outside linebackers making the team. Backup middle linebackers, Cole Holcomb and Malik Harrison, with Carson Bruner getting the final spot. That was a surprise for some. For a lot of us, we saw insane production in special teams out of Carson Bruner. A possibility of this being the next Tyler Matakevich type, who leads the team in tackles and special teams every single year. We'll see if that's somebody's bold prediction. You never know. And then onto the secondary room, they labeled them as defensive backs. They didn't separate them as corners and safeties, which I kind of get because of Jalen Ramsey, but only 8 total on the initial 53. With Brandon Eccles, Deshaun Elliott, Dante Kent, Miles Killebrew, Joey Porter Jr., Jalen Ramsey, Darius Slay, and Juan Thornhill. Technically only 3 safeties if you're counting Ramsey as a corner. So they were a little light there. We're going to see something that they did within a couple of days, the original announcement, to kind of correct that issue and add some depth there. Specialists, all 3 of us only got 2 of them right. Chris Boswell was the gimme. Christian Kuntz was a gimme because of the other long snapper getting cut. We all went Cameron Johnson, and Corliss Waitman was the one that won out. The more I heard, the more that Corliss Waitman just really showed off in hang time this preseason. and that seemed to be a big factor in this for Pittsburgh. Just a far superior hang time and a stronger leg, and they went that direction. So results from our predictions. We'll go ladies first since Jill's not with us this morning. She's still alive, folks. Jill got 46 correct out of the 53-man roster.
Dang.
That's solid.
Cody, you're next. How many do you think you got?
48.
45.
Oh, I was the worst, probably.
Don't speak too soon. I don't know about myself.
No. I guarantee it, because I always say predictions that I want to see happen.
You do some bold stuff sometimes, and sometimes it nips you in the butt. Yeah.
Yep.
Nicholas,
I'm gonna guess I'm right there with Cody at the 45 mark.
No,
you got 46 correct.
Okay, nice.
With that defensive line really helping you out, getting 8 of them correct in that room, and you're the only one to do so. I came in a 3-way tie with you and Jill with 46.
All
so
right.
it was as close as
I am the sole loser.
Cody was only 1 behind, and it's just because he went so doggone bold.
Hey, you're still on the podium, Cody. It's
and her
3 first.
Off, and yeah.
3 first, 1 second. You're still on the podium, Cody.
Y'all are gonna be crowded and need space. I'll step off. That's fine.
Extremely close, and kind of goes to show that even with the differences in our rosters, none of us was like overly correct on it. I think that we typically have a little bit better luck than we did this year, but there were just a lot of questions on the back end of the roster as far as the health of these guys. So you just didn't know what was going to happen with some of them not even playing. Like, no one would have thought of our group. None of us had Dante Kent making the team.
Nope.
But they did that and then shuffled him over to the injured reserve. So that was a move that we all probably thought he'd go straight to the injured reserve or something similar to that, and not count against the initial 53.
Yep.
But Cody, your prediction with stashing a couple guys on the IR possibly all year long. Here it is, man. Looks like.
I mean, listen, it's something that Pittsburgh's done the last 2 or 3 years that I think it's been. I don't remember seeing that as, I feel like, intentional as it has been. You did it with 2 young receivers back-to-back years that I'm not saying they weren't injured, but I'm saying it was a big question mark to me. Like, okay, we just saw this with Calvin Austin, and now they just did it with Roman Wilson. And then it's like, hey, you're basically getting a free rookie in their second year.
Well, it's not just those guys either. We had Corey Trice.
I know.
Troy Fautanu. Not that you wanted to see Fautanu
go. But Troy was different. Troy got injured after he was playing.
Yeah.
The other guys we never got to see play.
And Logan Lee, too.
Yeah.
And I feel like this is kind of an underrated thing where you can't do it unless somebody gets injured to some sort of degree and misses some time, right? But for those guys that are 6th and 7th rounders that need some time to develop, that need more time in the weight room, man, what a great opportunity for them to get 1 extra year of sitting around, going to all the practices, probably even participating a little bit, being in all the meeting rooms, and being in the facility training professionally with
none of the pressure.
Yeah, and professional nutritionists and people telling you exactly what to do, where you can come into year 2 and be drastically stronger and in better shape than you were in your first year, giving you a better chance of making a team and making a contribution.
The one thing I'm going to say about this is my fear and my concern about the situation with Will Howard being placed on IR is I do believe he'll be there all year. I believe they're confident enough with Mason and Skyler that if they had injuries, whatever, they could come in and maybe win a close game, that the defense kept it close. My problem is I think Pittsburgh's still going to want to draft a quarterback next year. So we're going to go through a Kenny Pickett thing, and Will Howard's not going to get a proper chance. I think Will Howard could be the next, like, this is it. Don't over, like, dramatic. Don't over.
It's the bold. It's the bold predictions.
No, it's not a bold prediction like that. Like, he could be the next quote unquote. Okay, I found a better example. I was going to say Tom Brady because Tom Brady was drafted so late and then played so well. But that's
same round. I
Brock
believe.
Purdy. He could be the next Brock Purdy. Someone that, fell late, whatever. Now, Brock Purdy didn't win a national title in college like Will Howard did, But Will Howard did the same thing that Josh Allen did. He's always outperformed his expectation. And I'm sad and concerned that Will Howard's not going to get a proper chance to be quarterback the same way I don't think Kenny Pickett did. Now, Kenny Pickett also still handled the situation very poorly. And now he's on his 4th team in 4 or 5 years. So unfortunate for him. But I'm kind of concerned with this move because, yes, Will Howard's going to get to sit and watch and learn from Aaron Rodgers and Mason Rudolph and kind of pick their brain a little bit. But I don't think he's going to get a proper chance to see what he can do at quarterback.
Yeah, I feel like this was kind of the likely thing to happen regardless of injury, though. I would have loved to have seen him in the preseason. I wanted to see him in these games and see what he could do.
Yeah.
But I feel like they were probably always going to draft a quarterback next year, regardless of how well Will Howard did.
Which is crazy.
Will would have had to have been insane. But realistically, Will was never going to play against like first-team defenses and with the first-team offenses in this preseason. So the only way he gets a fair shake is if Pittsburgh probably trades Skylar Thompson, which I think is still a very real possibility. Especially as the season goes on, QBs go down, somebody loses their top guy and has to go to a backup and doesn't really care for their backup that much, or doesn't even have a number 3 and needs a good backup all of a sudden because they're going to elevate their own guy. Yeah. There's going to be a number of examples of this around the league. I still think it's a very good possibility that they trade Skylar Thompson, more so because they're trying to acquire as much draft capital as possible for next season. So maybe somebody gets in a little bit more of a dire situation and you can pull a 6th-round pick for him where you could have only gotten a 7th before. That might be some of why they're doing this. If that happens, then Will get brought back onto the active roster. But again, for him to see the field, you'll need both Aaron Rodgers and Mason Rudolph to either be injured or play so poorly that you have no choice but to go a different direction.
Which, as we know from Devlin Duck Hodges, is not unheard of.
Not unheard of, but still a long shot.
Right, it's a long shot. But here's the other thing I'm thinking of is Will Howard is probably going to be with this team until his contract
until his rookie year's done.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I would think until his rookie contract is up.
That's what I meant. Rookie contract.
Right.
Sorry.
No, that's all right. But realistically speaking, or unrealistically speaking, depending on who you're talking to, Cody, you didn't want to draw the Tom Brady comparison, but I'm going to for a minute. Brady was I'm the best decision this organization has ever made kind of guy. Will Howard is I'm going to make every organization that didn't draft me regret it kind of guy. Yeah. They both were 6th-round guys who were a little overlooked. And if Drew Bledsoe doesn't get hurt, who knows if we have Tom Brady. So it's not an easy road to say the least. And it's more likely than not going to end in the same result. But it's a possibility, especially with how often quarterbacks are getting hurt in this league, that it could still happen, especially if what James just mentioned comes to pass and we trade away Skylar because he's a serviceable backup who has starting experience from backing up Tua Tagovailoa, who, as we know, is the CTE guy for the poster child for the league right now. So I don't know. It's a long shot, but I don't think it's as far-fetched as many people think that Will Howard could get a chance to start at some point before his rookie contract is up.
That's all I want. And especially seeing him in a preseason, hopefully next year when we have 2 rookie quarterbacks going at it, whether we do well in the year and Aaron decides to come back for one more or whatever. I obviously don't think Mason's the long-term starter here. I don't think anyone is in that fairy tale land. Don't get me wrong. Happy to have him back. I do think when he got knocked out in the Ravens game, that changed things a little bit and how he performed with us after that. But he's still a good quality quarterback as a backup. He reminds me a lot of a Charlie Batch. But yeah, I don't mean to make that comparison too much. And I also didn't mean to go down this long rabbit hole right now. But going back to, placing guys on IR, this is just something the Pittsburgh Steelers done the past few years that I'm not used to seeing them do. And it's very, very strategic. And like James said, you get back a roster guys that just need to get stronger. That's a perfect way to do it.
Yeah. In the quarterback position, it's definitely one that the more time you have in that playbook, the more time you spend around veterans and with your coaching staff, it can absolutely help you. So I think the time sitting will help Will Howard. I too worry whether or not he's going to get a real opportunity. I have a distinct feeling that it'll be year 3 before we see him in a regular season game. Just because Mason's got on a 2-year deal. Skyler, if he does make it through this season, was only on a 1-year deal. He'll be gone. We'll see what happens with Rodgers, if he plays well enough, if DK can continue to convince him to come back for an additional season or not. But if they do go quarterback in the first round, that person's going to leapfrog Will Howard in the pecking order most likely, which would put Will right back down to number 3, number 4 next season, and very unlikely to see the field. So some folks say that, the ceiling for Will is more of like a career really solid number 2 QB. In my opinion is if that's what we get out of Will Howard, then it was one heck of a 6th round pick. If you get a really good quality backup QB who can be in the league for a long time, man, you nailed that 6th round pick if that's what he is.
Yep.
So he doesn't even necessarily have to end up being as good as Brock Purdy and getting a starting gig to be a successful 6th round pick. As we're going to go through the practice squad here, there's a guy that landed on the practice squad we're all familiar with, DeMarvin Leal. He was a 3rd round pick. He didn't make the team. This is his 4th year with the team, and he didn't make it. He was healthy all preseason. They didn't play the top 3 guys at that position almost all 3 of the games. He got all kinds of playing time and still couldn't make the team. So when you talk about, what are you getting out of a guy versus a pick, sometimes we just got to remember if they stick around and make any contribution at all, you're doing well sometimes, because the 3rd round pick that you're cutting and moving to the practice squad in year 4 is a guy that just did not pan out. Let's touch with this practice squad so we can keep the show moving here. 16 guys kept on the original. They eventually added a 17th because they were allowed to with the exemption for the international player in Julius Welshoff. It just has to be approved. So he was on the initial 16, then they added the 17th. So don't let me forget to say the 17th because he's not on my list in front of me. Beanie Bishop, your number 1 guy. We were all happy to see him back. We were all happy to see Sebastian Castro also, who's a possible future of the position kind of guy. Deshaun Jameson, the corner, I thought had a tremendous preseason. Daryl Porter also. And then James Pierre, a very valuable special teams gunner. So they keep 5 defensive backs to the initial practice squad. Defensive line, Kyler Baugh, who was a late add, and DeMarvin Leal, who was more of an outside linebacker, but they're listing him D-line. Julius Welshoff as the lone linebacker. Again, Leal kind of both. Offensive line, Dylan Cook and Stephen Jones. Dylan Cook was the one that screwed me up. I had 10 offensive linemen making the team, and I nailed 9. If Dylan Cook would have made the team, I would have got 10. Running backs, Lou Nichols and Trey Sermon. That's fantastic. I thought both had a very nice preseason. Both, if they made the team, not if they kept 5 guys, but if they kept 4 and kept one of these 2 gentlemen, either one of them I would have been happy with as the 4th running back. So very nice to see both of them make it to the practice squad. And you never know, one of them might get a shot if they don't keep Jalen Warren next year. Tight end J.J. Galbraith, he did show some signs during the preseason. Needs a little more time in the weight room, get a little bigger so he can handle the blocking responsibilities better. Wide receivers, Cody's boy Max Hurlman, Kayshawn Williams, who did a lot of kick return duties this year and looked very, very elusive and explosive in the open field. So there might be something with him too. And then 33-year-old veteran Bobby Trees rounded out the practice squad on the initial roster. Once that exemption was granted, then they brought Aiden Williams, who is a rookie undrafted guy, played tackle at college, played nothing but guard for Pittsburgh this preseason and showed a little bit of promise there as well. So this is the first time in my life that I ever remember the initial practice squad, especially since they went to this large of a number, which I think happened during the COVID year. All 17 guys were part of the initial 90-man roster or were on the 90-man roster at one time. So you're talking 70 of the 90 made either the 53 or the practice squad. I think that's tremendous, and I think that really speaks volumes about the quality of that 90-man room that you had there at training camp. Because typically you go and get 5 or 6 guys from other teams that somebody didn't keep and bring them in because they're an upgrade at certain positions. They didn't do that this year. So absolutely tremendous, in my opinion, of the scouts and the general manager really assembling a solid team where that back end of the roster not only was tough to predict, but was so good that you kept all those dudes onto the practice squad. Only guy we lost by signing to another new team was Mark Robinson. Mark Robinson did get signed away to another practice squad. But outside of that, nobody else was lost.
Yeah, that's actually really impressive and strange to see. Sometimes you typically see them pick up someone from other places or whatever.
Yeah.
But this reminds me a lot of James. I talked about this morning. We talked about the YouTube video that's out that's from Latrobe with the former Steelers players talking in a group, and they talked about how much depth they had at all these positions, and that's what I feel like this shows is the team was comfortable with the crazy depth we had at a lot of these positions, running back, the secondary room, even the edge rushers. I mean, the depth is there. And so it's real exciting to see, but yep, those guys are here and we will be excited. And you said the 17th, correct?
Correct. Aiden
Okay.
Williams was the
Making
17th man on. As far as the IR moves, Corey Trice went immediately to the IR with designation to return. So Corey can come back at any point in time during the season after, I want to say, week 4. You got to be out 4 weeks, I think, for the IR nowadays. Will Howard and Dante Kent were moved to the IR after making the 53. Their replacements on the 53-man squad were Max Sharping, who none of us had making the team because we didn't think he played all that good in the preseason, and Chuck Clark, which I thought was enormous because that initial roster really only had 3 true safeties if you're counting Miles Killebrew as one, and you really don't want Miles Killebrew playing safety during the regular season. So I thought it was just some masterful work as far as manipulating the roster, still getting the guys that you want, and not losing anyone, not having to go and grab straws and pull from other teams where there's some unpredictability on what you're going to get from people. I still won't be surprised if Sharping kind of comes and goes throughout the season down to the practice squad and whatnot. But I think Chuck Clark will be on 53 the rest of the way. And then the real question is, do we see elevations of Beanie Bishop or James Pierre? I would expect James Pierre for that gunner work. I don't know who they're going to have as gunner number 2 opposite Ben Skoranek right now. So we'll see. Maybe Brandon Eccles can handle that job, or Scotty Miller. I don't know. But time will tell on that, and we'll start getting injury updates this upcoming week here.
Is it time?
We've got our roster prediction results, which we already did. We need to do our bold predictions still. We need to do our season predictions for the Steelers record.
Ooh.
Let's do the Steelers record predictions.
I agree.
Nice and quick.
Yeah. Jill not with us, but she did predict at least 11 games, so we'll put Jill as 11-6 for the Steelers. Nick, what about you? What do you got for the Steelers on their record this year?
I know this doesn't count as a bold prediction, but it's pretty bold, I'm going to say. I have us at 14-3, with those 3 losses being at Cincy, at Baltimore, and versus Bills.
Okay.
Seems fair. Cody, what about you?
I have us at a 12-5 record. Losses coming to Minnesota. I believe I did Green Bay, against Buffalo, and at the Ravens, and at the Lions.
I also have us at 12-5 this year. So I don't have the specific teams that I feel like we're going to lose to, but it's a tough schedule at the end of the year. So it's really important that Pittsburgh starts out hot and wins the majority of the games. I'm real interested to see how this goes as far as adjustments, because Pittsburgh's been known to do a really good job making adjustments during the bye week, and it's a very early bye this year. And now that Ireland game, we're going to get to see Micah Parsons now, thanks to Jerry Jones being an absolute moron.
Yeah.
So, that's a
Makes
whole
the TJ
other
deal
thing.
look a lot better, and potentially
Doesn't-
that George Pickens 3rd-round pick we got from Dallas because they just got a little worse. So
And George Pickens has the same agent as Micah Parsons, so you can expect George to be out of there after this year as well.
yep,
But-
which is funny after he made jabs at the Steelers organization for being cheap. So
yeah,
just
yeah.
saying.
Boy, did he just see it, you know? The crazy thing to me, like I felt like 2 first-round picks was probably what the compensation was going to be. But if you're getting 2 first-round picks from the Green Bay Packers, those are probably going to be in like the mid to late 20s. Those
True,
are darn
but-
near second-round picks, man.
Well, think about it this way too: the Niners gave up 3 first-round picks to trade up for Trey Lance.
Whew.
So
Yeah,
you're getting more for a trade for Trey Lance, which was an unproven commodity that ended up being a flop, when you could get Micah Parsons, a proven all-pro, who's most likely going to have a shot at the Hall of Fame, especially now that he's on a team that actually has success in the postseason.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's crazy to see how things pan out.
yeah, it absolutely is. So on to our bold predictions. And since Jill is not with us this morning, we're going to share hers first. So she gets her first crack at all of hers. Must be nice. The rest of us might have to work on the fly a little bit here, depending on how things go. So Jill's first prediction for this upcoming Pittsburgh Steelers season is the team will have 50 sacks, which would be nice to see them back in that 50 sack category. And TJ will get 83.
Dang.
23.
I was
I was
gonna
gonna say that's crazy.
83 might be a little too bold for me.
23 sacks is what Jill has, which would break the NFL record. So that's an incredible prediction. I really hope that Jill's correct on this one. And that is a very bold prediction. The 50-plus sacks would be tremendous to see Pittsburgh get back into that category. 23 and the record holder, that would make me believe TJ would win the Defensive Player of the Year again, which you would
They'll give it
definitely
to
just
Garrett. They'll give it to
Yeah,
Garrett.
Her second prediction is that the tight end room in total will have double-digit touchdowns on this season. Not unreasonable, right, guys? You know,
No.
I feel like the tight end room should do very well this year, so I think that's a good prediction, and I think that's one she's likely to hit there. And then her final one is that Pittsburgh will win at least 11 games and all of the home games. So winning all the home games, pretty bold prediction.
Oh yeah.
So we'll see how that goes for her, but that is Jill's 3. The 3 of us are going to alternate here as to give each other an opportunity to at least get 1 or 2 of our original ones, since you're likely to take some of each other's from each other. The question is, who would like to go first and start the order? We're going to do it snake draft style, so whoever goes first will go 6th. Whoever goes second will also go 5th, and then whoever goes third will go 4th also.
I say let's let Nick go first.
Oh boy. All right. Well, I will gladly take that, because it means that I get to at least rip one of mine and not have to worry about all my backups. So I'm gonna use the one that I really am excited about, because I think it could potentially hit, especially with the way Rodgers has been talking about him. I also had a tight end prediction. I have Mount Washington leading the tight end room with 10 touchdowns this year.
Dang.
I think
That's
not
a
only is
third
the
stringer.
Right. I think not only is the tight end room going to have a lot of touchdowns this year, but I think that Darnell, having Rodgers compare him to Mercedes Lewis, seeing him do very well in the preseason, I think Darnell can easily get a solid number of touchdowns this year, and I'm thinking that he can crack that double-digit number.
Awesome prediction. Darnell was one I was leaning into as well. So you get that one. Very good move. And I wouldn't be surprised if Darnell has one of those crazy stat lines this year where he has like 25 catches, but 11 of them are touchdowns.
Yeah.
I think they're going to pound it to him in the red zone this year.
He's
So
such a mismatch.
Yeah. It's impossible to try to – with somebody that understands boxing out like he does and has that height and has that frame and has that reach and vertical, like, yeah,
Well, and
He's
if
going to
you-
be drawing a lot of double teams in the red zone.
Picture DK as your receiver. You've got Jonnu and Muth and Darnell out there.
Yeah.
So you can make it look like you're going to run the ball. You throw a slant to Darnell or a post to Darnell. It's going to be crazy trying to stop Pittsburgh in the red zone this year.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of fade patterns to him, I believe, where they're just going to lob it to the corner and try to get him one-on-one with a corner or a safety. And there's not too many corners or safeties that are taller than about 6'2", and he's 6'7" and change. So just an automatic advantage. Cody, would you like to go second and put your first bold prediction out there?
I'm not worried about mine, so James, you can take it. I'll do back to back.
I'll go number 2 then, and my first bold prediction on the season is going to be a guy that's not even expected to start this season, but I think we'll get a few starts due to injuries on some other guys in the group. I have Wyatt Black leading the team with pass breakups.
Nice.
I think he's going to have so many swatted balls at the line of scrimmage that he will lead the team in PBUs this year, likely in the double digits. But I think he's going to lead the entire team, and that's having Jalen Ramsey, Darius Slay, Joey Porter Jr. on this team. I think he's going to have more PBUs than all those guys this year.
Interesting.
And that's a pretty bold prediction with Cam Hayward, who beat a lot of DBs in PBUs last year. So
he had 9 or 10 by himself last year. I think YA is going to have more than him.
Awesome. I love it. I was thinking of doing something with YA, so I'm glad someone did.
Cody, that puts you up.
I believe Pittsburgh Steelers are going to break a record this year. I believe that they're going to surpass the 2011 New Orleans Saints and the 2023 Los Angeles Chargers, that both teams had 6 players with over 500 receiving yards. I think Pittsburgh's going to have 7.
I like that.
Okay.
Do you have any names, or are you just thinking that we're going to have them?
I'll put names out there so it's there. I think all 3 tight ends will have over 500 receiving yards. I think Caleb Johnson, not Jalen Warren, will have over 500 receiving yards. And that gives us 4 right there. And I think 3 receivers, one being DK, Calvin Austin, and Scotty Miller will have over 500 receiving yards as well.
Very lovely. A little bold, but very lovely.
Very bold.
No Roman Wilson makes me sad, but
trust me, it does me too. I think they're going to have a really good chemistry. I just don't know if things are going to go the way that he wants, and it's a bold prediction for a reason.
yeah,
It is, and if that happens, that puts Rodgers over 3,500 yards passing. So I think we would all take that.
Yep.
That means you get to go with your second one now, Cody. You get back-to-back picks because of snake draft style. So what do you got for your second prediction?
Oh, which one do I drop for the second? I'll do the one. I'll do the one that I wanted to do. Do I do that one? Let's not. I believe this is division specific. I believe Pittsburgh has more rushing yards as a team than any other AFC North team.
That is bold.
Total rushing offense.
The only team that I see posing a large threat to that is Baltimore.
Yeah.
Well, Lamar and Henry. So, that's the biggest threat. I mean, I can see Chase Brown beating us out too. I don't think I see Jerome Ford, but who knows? Maybe Quinshon Judkins actually gets signed to the Browns roster, and maybe he actually does well. But we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, no doubt. That puts me up for my second one, which I still have one more that hasn't been taken. Got to come up with a third one on the fly here. My second bold prediction is that by week 6, the Steelers will name Caleb Johnson as the starting running back.
Dang.
I think he will supplant Jalen Warren by then, and it'll be because of fumble issues. So Jalen Warren, not fully benched, he'll still be in his third down role, but Caleb Johnson will be taking the majority of the running back snaps by week 6.
See, I was gonna say something along those lines. I was gonna say by the end of the season, but the week 6 makes it a little more bold. But I didn't, because I didn't think it was bold enough, because I think that's really very realistic. But love that from you, James. Love that I'm thinking in the same vein as you, which is always a testament to me and my football knowledge growing because you are one of the most knowledgeable football people that I know. I'm gonna rip my second and third here, and now I'm trying to decide what I want to do. I think that my Pittsburgh not allowing more than 100 rushing yards a game is too close to Cody, so we're gonna scratch that one out and not use that. I'm going to say I think Alex Highsmith is going to end up with 15 sacks this year.
Woo!
I think that with the group of guys that we've got on the line, with TJ coming back, with Cam being there, with hopefully Derek Harmon getting on a quick return from his injury there, I think that this line is just going to eat. And I think that Alex Highsmith is going to benefit from that because I don't think he draws as much attention as a lot of those other guys. So I think he's going to be able to put up big numbers this year. Not necessarily lead the team. I think we could definitely rip more than that, but I think that he's definitely going to have a benefit from the guys we've got on roster. And then for number 3, I have not that Roman Wilson will have 500 receiving yards this year, but I do have that I believe he will lead the wide receiver room in receptions. I think we've seen drastic improvement from him. I know Rodgers has mentioned that he's trying to work with him to get him out of his head a little bit and that he has all the talent in the world. So I think that we will see a lot of focus on DK as being really that top guy that other teams aren't really going to put as much attention on Roman. And with the current injury to Calvin Austin, I think Roman Wilson could easily, with his better blocking mentality and slightly better blocking frame, not much better, but slightly, see a lot more playing time and bring in a lot more receptions.
So Roman Wilson leading the team in receptions.
Not the team, just the receiver room.
Just a receiver room.
Yeah, we still have tight ends.
Yeah, we have way too many tight ends for him to lead the team.
Leads wide receivers. Okay, wide receivers. I got that. All right.
And Arthur Smith throws too many checkdowns for him to lead in reception.
Remember, the check down is never the primary option, so you don't want to get upset with the offensive coordinator when a check down happens. That's a QB decision.
True.
Speaking of decisions, I have a tough one to make here on my third and final one, and I think I just got one that'll be bold enough to maybe turn a few heads here. So I am going to say that for the first time in a long time, Pittsburgh gets 2 Pro Bowlers from the offensive line unit.
Dang.
I love it.
Hold on, can I guess who? Can I guess?
Go for it, yeah.
Troy Fatanu.
Maybe.
No.
I'm gonna guess after.
I was gonna guess Troy and Mason.
I was gonna guess Mason and Zach.
I'm actually thinking Zach and Troy. So you both have,
fair.
yeah.
That's fair.
That is mine,
like
which
it.
leads Cody for his third and final one.
This one's also going to turn some heads, which is fine. I think Pittsburgh's defense will outperform the 2008 Super Bowl winning defense in the term of opponent touchdowns allowed. In 2008, Pittsburgh allowed 21 touchdowns. I think we allow 20 or less.
Wow.
Which will only be as good as the 86 Bears, the 2000 Titans, the 96 Packers, and the 2000 Ravens.
I like it.
And that'll be in more games, too.
All of those were done in 16.
Yeah. So that would be a tremendous feat for this defense. I'm hearing more and more of that, guys, that people think that this defense could be one of the all-time greats, not just in Steelers history, but in league history. And I can't agree more, just because I feel like the glaring issues that last year's part of the defense had was, number one, I said it for years and years, it was Larry Ogunjobi on the defensive line, right? We didn't have enough depth on the defensive line. We couldn't get enough pressure from that defensive line unit, and I'm talking the defensive tackles, not the edge rushers. I think because of Derek Harmon, because of the emergence of Y.A. Black, and the fact that Keanu Benton and Cam Hayward aren't going to have to play 90% of the snaps in order for there to be any pressure on the quarterback, I think we're going to have a really healthy 4-man rotation. in that interior defensive line, which is going to allow all kinds of one-on-one opportunities for Alex Highsmith and Nick Herbig and even TJ Watt, who doesn't get very many one-on-one opportunities, might actually see a decent number of one-on-one opportunities this year, because you're going to have to keep guys inside to make sure that Y.A. Black and Cam Hayward and Derek Harmon aren't crushing your quarterback in his chin right up the middle of that defense. So I think that we're really on path with a lot of these predictions on what this defense could do this upcoming season, because I really think it's some special talent. And part of what allows that defensive line to get in there is how good is your coverage. This is the best trio of corners that probably the Steelers have ever had. I mean, we've had some elite corners in this team's history, with Rod Woodson, one of the best all time, Mel Blount, one of the best of all time. But who was opposite them? Who was the third person in the cornerback room, right? Our top three corners, two of them are all pros. And I know they're not in they're early to mid 20s anymore, but Joey Porter still is.
Yep.
So I am very optimistic about what we could see from this defense. And I think a lot of it is just like when you play those Kansas City Chief type teams where the ball's out fast, Joe Burrow, ball's out fast. You can't do that when it's tight man coverage. They're going to have to hang on to the ball longer. And if you hang on to the ball for long against this defensive front, I think you're getting sacked. So,
the only thing that would make me more exciting in this situation is if we still had Minka. Like if we could have Elliott, Minka, and then the three corners we have, oh my gosh. And I understand the trade. I get it. It's just, I also understand from watching, we talked about it before, watching videos of Minka getting just not in the right spot last year. But
yeah,
I'm excited for this defense.
I think the trade-off too is that if they decided to stay with Minka, they could have still acquired these other guys, but they would have had to give up draft picks. Yep. And then you're possibly giving up on the possibility of getting a quarterback in the first round next year, because you might not have had enough ammunition to move up. I still think that Pittsburgh's just going to have too good of a record to be in a high enough position to get one of the elite guys. They will have to trade up in order to do so, which is why you continue, when you can, trading some of these back to the roster guys for more 6s and 7s and see how much you can acquire, how much can you accumulate to give that huge bundle to somebody, to try to go get your guy and your QB of the future.
Yep, I'm right there with you.
So next week's coming, right? We're going to be getting back to 2 times a week. Next week should be our final 1 episode week. And then we're going to, on the most part, do Monday shows to recap Sunday games. And then Saturday morning shows to tell you about what we think is coming on the upcoming games. So next Saturday, we will give you our bold predictions for that opening game, Steelers versus Jets. It's almost here, guys. It's right around the corner. I couldn't be happier about it.
Yeah, I'm very excited. It's going to be official. Pittsburgh football's back. I mean, it already kind of is official, but man, we haven't seen 4 or 5 starters yet. So very, very, very exciting to watch and see how we do week 1 against the Jets in Aaron Rodgers' revenge game. So be excited, be ready. We're going to enjoy this season. So any last words from either one of you?
Here we go, Steve.
That's one of the sounds I'm going to need, Dad. There you go. We can't thank you guys enough for joining us. We wish Jill was here. We'll get her back on the show here soon. Can't thank you guys enough. Be sure to like and follow on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Share your bold predictions and score predictions with us. We'll share them on here as well. And until next time, this is your host, James, Cody, and Nick, signing off.
Peace.